Hey, and welcome to Brian Brain's National Curriculum. This is the quiz that the entire family can take part in, enjoy, and hopefully learn something from. Okay, here we go. My name's Brian Brain, and if you haven't played before, you'll soon get the hang of it, don't worry. You might even want to create a prize for the winner or the winners if you decide to play as a team. Now, let's see if you younger budding brains can beat the adults, the boffs. You see, for every budding brain question for you kids, a harder boff question for the adults will follow. So, everybody's got an equal chance. The most important thing, though, is to just have a bit of fun and also to build that brain power of yours. Did you know that your brain works a little bit like your muscles? The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So, today's subject is history for Year 1, and we've mixed up all the topics for you. So, for each question you get right, award yourself a point. It's just as simple as that. Don't forget to keep score as you go along, so you might want to get a pen and some paper before you start. Here's a little bit of getting ready time. Okay, so just before we start, I want to give you a little tip or secret. It's all about memorizing things. So try and create pictures in your mind of both the questions and the answers. It's the most powerful tool you have to remember things. Okay, everybody ready? Great, then off we go. Budding brains. What's the wife of a king called? For each question you'll get a bit of thinking time like this. What is the word for the wife of a king? And your time's up. But the answer is, hope you got this one right, it's a queen. And did you know that the first king to rule the whole of England was King Athelstan in 924? Now, Boffs, it's your turn. Boff, what term of address would you give to a king or queen in Britain? You get your thinking time too. Here we go. How should you address a king or a queen? Time's running out. And time's up. Hope you got that one because it's Your Majesty. Whether it's a king or a queen, it's Your Majesty. Okay, well done. That's got the ball rolling on the quiz. Let's move straight on to question 2. Question 2. Budding brains. What's the name given to men who wear shining armour and ride horses into battle? Here's your thinking time. What was the name of the horseman who rode in shining armour? And time's up. Did you get this one? It's knights. Knights, or in Monty Python speak, it's kniggarts, but don't worry about that. That's actually how you spell it, though. And did you know that the knights on their horses were usually the wealthiest men on the battlefield, while the lowlier men would fight on foot in the shield wall? And you boffs, what was the name of the weapon used by knights in jousting context? Thinking time starts now. What weapons did knights use for jousting? And time's up. Did you get that one? It was the lance. And did you know that sporting lances were designed to shatter upon impact, reducing the damage done to the opponent, and you had to break your lance to score points? This did still not prevent the death of some knights, however. Moving on. Different people through history have had differing ways of dealing with deaths. Budding brains. Which ancient group of people lived near the River Nile and wrapped their dead in bandages to turn them into mummies? Here's your thinking time. Who lived near the Nile and made mummies? And the answer is the ancient Egyptians. Although the ancient Egyptians are probably the most famous people who made mummies, many other people around the ancient world also made mummies using similar methods. The bodies were treated with preservatives so that they wouldn't rot away. The Egyptians thought that they would need their bodies for the afterlife, and if you don't believe me, ask your mummy. Ha! Boss, same subject, sort of-ish. Who discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun? Here's your thinking time to discover the answer. Who found Tutankhamun's tomb? And the answer is Howard Carter. Did you get that one? Howard Carter. When Howard Carter first looked into the treasure room of Tutankhamun's tomb, he was asked if he could see anything. His reply? Yes, wonderful things. And moving on. Many people through history have travelled to look for treasure, including a people from Scandinavia. Budding brains. What was the name of the people who came from Scandinavia in their longboats to invade England? They're often pictured with beards, horned helmets and carrying axes. Here's your thinking time. What was the name of the Scandinavians who invaded England? It's quite a toughie this, but you will learn it in school. And the answer is it's the Vikings. The Vikings. Viking means a pirate raid in Old Norse, the language of the Vikings. They didn't really have horns on their helmets, even though that's how we usually picture them. And you boffs, most Vikings believed in a number of gods. Which of the gods famously got his power from a magic belt and hammer? Here's your thinking time. Which Viking god is famous for his hammer? Now, I bet you got this one. The answer is Thor. Yeah, Thor. And, in case you didn't know, the palace, or hall of the Norse gods, was called Valhalla. The next question, though, is about a place in London. Question 5. Budding brains, Buckingham Palace was opened in 1703. Who lives there now? Here's your thinking time. Who lives in Buckingham Palace now? Now, I hope you got this one, because the answer is the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II. In fact, kings and queens have lived in Buckingham Palace since 1837. The house was originally built by and named after John Sheffield, who was the Duke of Buckingham. Well. Boss, which century did Elizabeth I live in? You might need your thinking time on this one. Off you go. Queen Elizabeth I lived in which century? And the answer is the 16th century, and also 3 years into the 17th century. Budding brains. There have been 2 wars that involve nearly every country in the world. What are they called? Off you go. What do we call the 2 wars that involved nearly every country in the world? And your time's up. The answer is the First World War and the Second World War, or World Wars. That should be fairly easy to remember. Tens of millions of people died across the 2 world wars, though. Absolutely so tragic.